So if you're watching this video, you probably are interested in motorcycles, maybe even vintage motorcycles, classics. So you probably have heard of Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. And the first week in October, they had Vintage Days. So if you haven't heard of it, check it out, put it on your bucket list. This is a great weekend. The museum is fantastic. They also have a special event there on Friday, put on by the Japanese Vintage Motorcycle Club, which has a lot of, you guessed it, vintage Japanese motorcycles on display that are original, pristine motorcycles. And they also have just a fun event called The Sweet Sound of Japanese Horsepower. And so what they do, they line up the motorcycles by category: single cylinders, twins, triples, fours, then sixes. And they have a panel of judges, and each bike, one at a time, cranks up their bike and twists it as far as they care to, and the judges determine which one sounds the best in each of those categories. But over the last couple of years, they've started using a dosimeter to measure peak sound level. And I think what's happened now is, rather than judges picking which bike sounded the best, it's pretty much going to which one was the loudest, which one made the highest decibels. So it's kind of become a loud pipes competition, maybe more suitable to a Harley Davidson rally, but that is what it is. So how are we going to be competitive in this new group? So I'm thinking, what would be a good bike? How about a two-stroke? Maybe. So this is the bike we'll be working with. It is a 1972 Kawasaki 750 H2. It is the triple two-stroke engine. And back in the 70s, the #1 exhaust chambers for these motorcycles were made by Denko. Recently, as of 2009, Jim Hobbs of Lake Services in Hendersonville, North Carolina, started making the reproductions of these. And with new techniques for welding and fabrication, they're actually much nicer than the originals. You have a choice of either carbon steel or stainless steel. I opted for the stainless steel and had them professionally polished to a mirror-like finish. Turned out really good. So they're lightweight, good performance. Sound-wise, they sound good, but they are DOT compliant and neighborhood friendly. So they're not going to win any loud exhaust pipe sound competition. So we got to work on that a little bit. Let's see how we do it. The Denko chambers have an internal baffling system. Looks like this. So the exhaust gases go in from the belly of the chamber, and this has louvers punched into it to collect some of the air and sound waves, and then this is wrapped in fiberglass, and then that's stuffed into the tailpipe. So that's how it dampens the sound. So my first thought on how to make the exhaust louder would be just to remove this. It's got one screw there, and you can slide this out. So I thought that might be a way just to make it louder temporarily for exhaust sound competition. But I called Jim Hobbs at Lake Services and talked to him about what I was thinking. He goes, no, I says, really, it won't be as loud because it needs back pressure to make everything work. He said to make it louder, you would just remove the insulation from this and put it back in, and that would be louder than having no baffle at all. And then as we talked about stinger tailpipes and things like that, he says, well, you could wrap these louvers with something like a metal tape, and that would make it almost as loud as a stinger. He said, with a little bit of work, you could probably get pulled over by the police, kind of jokingly. But so I thought, okay, that's a start. So he had actually a set of defective baffles that were made. The louvers weren't punched deep enough and all the way through, so I was able to get those from him, and that's what I'm experimenting with here. So what I did, I took this set of these baffles, and then I got a 1-inch diameter steel ball bearing. And from Home Depot, 5/8 inch all thread rod with a coupler on the end, that's 1-inch diameter, 1-inch diameter steel ball. And I would take this and just take a sledgehammer and drive this all the way through, and that would close those louvers back up. Then what I did is I got some 1-inch OD aluminum pipe that is 0.05 inch wall thickness. And then I drove it through the whole length. So I've got now a 1-inch piece of aluminum pipe going the full length. So now this, instead of becoming an internal baffle, becomes an internal stinger pipe. So the stinger pipe's a little bit smaller restriction. What that does is increase the back pressure, puts a little more heat in the chamber, increases what's called the plugging pressure, And I won't get into detail of how a chamber works, but that is what pushes the gas and fuel back into the combustion chamber right before compression to give it some extra boost, almost like a forced induction in a crude way, just at a certain RPM range. So we're going to be replacing the stock baffles with the insulation with this set of modified internal stingers. I'll take some decibel readings before and after, and we'll see what the difference is.
Okay, so there's one of the original baffles that had the fiberglass packaging around, so you can see what that looks like, and you can see the little the louvers that are punched in there. Anyway, from the sound clips, I think you can see that going with the straight stinger pipes did make it quite a bit louder. I didn't see any significant change in performance one way or the other. It's still not so loud that I can't ride on the street. Definitely noticeably louder. In fact, if a car is passing me, I can hear it sort of reverberating off of the side of the car, so it's that much louder. One thing was surprising was when I started up without the baffles, it was even much louder. Totally different sound, but it was so loud that when I was revving it up, it was actually hurting my ear to do that. You can see what the decibel level was there. So I think I kind of like the stingers for just around town, and I may leave that in there for a while. But I think if I was going to take it to the sound competition, the loud pipe competition, I'd probably just pull the baffles out for that and then put them back in. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and you guys